Hello there, I'm here today to bring you my final review from the Bluemoose section of my independent publisher series, Paddling with Independent Publishers. I will be doing a wrap-up video, but this is the final individual Bluemoose review, and that is for Tainted Love by Anna Chilvers. This I left till last because it looks really thick, but it's deceptive. Anyway, I don't know how to do this review, because I went into this book having no real clue other than what's on the back, having no real clue what this is about, and it basically just makes it sound like a kind of love situation and sort of family dilemmas and things like that. So I thought it'd be about relationships. There is a really crucial thread that runs through this, and it affects all of the characters, and I didn't know about it going into it, and I think I really enjoyed this, and this was really unexpected because I didn't know about that thread. So I don't know how much to say here, so what I'm going to say as a disclaimer to start with, I'm going to keep this as spoiler free as possible. You know, I'm not going to ruin anything, and it's not like you read through the book and then this is revealed. It's something that becomes apparent quite early on. It's kind of obvious from the very off, but I think because I didn't know about it, it straight away, sort of, this book swept me away. So I don't want to ruin that for anyone. So I'm going to be as spoiler free as possible. There's not going to be spoilers in here. And I'm not going to give away everything that surprised me from this book, but I am going to talk about the main sort of thread through it, because I think it would be impossible and inaccurate to do a review of this book without talking about that. So if you like to know absolutely nothing, and if you want that element of surprise, which to be honest I would kind of recommend, then stop watching and just go and read the book. But if you don't mind sort of knowing a bit more about it, I will let you know that basically this is a book which it kind of focuses on a lot of different aspects to do with relationships and growing up and finding your place in the world, and also accepting yourself for being different and accepting who you are. But it does so through a variety of supernatural elements. And things kick off with the fact that two new people have moved into this small town in Yorkshire. They are effectively vampires, and that's not, as I say, the only sort of surprise element in here, but I think that's the only one that I need to tell you about for you to sort of understand the general plot of the book. So basically these people have moved into this town, and strange things start happening around their arrival. And the main girl that we follow, Lauren, gets wrapped up with one of them, Richard, and going into the relationship that she embarks on with him, she doesn't know what he is or who he is. And yeah, it looks at how their relationship unravels and how it affects her life, how these people have affected her family in the past. Her mum also comes back, and a lot of people who have left the village start coming back, and it all sort of ties in together. I'm not going to go ahead and say that this is a perfect book. I only gave it 3 stars. There were problems with it, and as you can probably tell from me saying what this is about, it kind of is reminiscent of things like Beautiful Creatures, predominantly Twilight as well. It put me in mind of those. But I would say that this is a much more thoughtful and literary based version of those, and it also manages to kind of toe the line most of the time into verging into YA. I would say that this is adult fiction as it stands, though it obviously has younger characters who are growing up and coming into their own. I wouldn't classify this as YA. I think this is probably for people who have really enjoyed Twilight when they were teenagers. I would say that this is well worth a read. It's much more developed and it's much better than books like that. I do have to be honest and say that there were some things in this that really irritated me. One thing in particular was the fact that there is a bit of a love triangle, and I don't think love triangles in literature ever work. It kind of writes itself out of that. It does manage to stop going too far into that with an explanation that kind of ties things together. But I still think situations like that are kind of problematic, and I didn't think that Lauren's behaviour was particularly believable. She seemed to, even though she absolutely loved her boyfriend, she seemed to kind of fall into this other relationship without really thinking about it, which I know why that happened, having read the book and sort of followed what is going on. But I think it could have done with more explanation in terms of the fact that at least she maybe has some conflict about what's happening, or that she's maybe confused, or, you know, I think it would have been better if there was some inner conflict. As it was, it just seemed a bit convenient. I would also say that this is guilty of falling into the category of everything suddenly coming to life as soon as the book happens. I don't know how to explain it really, but everything's been casual and fine and nothing untoward has ever happened to them, and then all of a sudden this one thing triggers and everything suddenly starts happening. It's not a massive criticism, and I think for people who probably like fast-paced, plot-heavy books, that would work. For me, I don't normally read plot-heavy books, so it felt a bit like it was a bit convenient at times, and some of the solutions to the issues were also a bit convenient. I would also say that there is a sub-story with two of the side characters, Jimmy and Suki, sort of at the side of this. And I liked their characters. I liked the fact that they were in there. I think they were useful characters to have in there, and I wouldn't have taken them out as characters, but I think the subplot with them didn't need to be in there. It didn't add anything to the book, and there is a prologue to this which kind of tries to tie that situation together, because that's the one thing that's not really dealt with by the end of the story, but I felt like the prologue was really clumsy and it just didn't need to be there, and it kind of literally was just stuck on as though it was an afterthought of, oh, I never actually resolved that situation, so I'll do that now. It didn't have anything to do, the prologue didn't have anything to do with the rest of the story. I just felt it was unnecessary, and in hindsight, yeah, as I say, the plot line didn't need to be there at all. It didn't add anything, and I don't think anything would have been missing if it was taken out. But other than those niggles, and they are small niggles, and they are things that are easy to overlook, I don't think they ruin the book. But other than that, I really enjoyed this. As I say, it's not necessarily something that I would normally gravitate towards, but it surprised me enough and kept me gripped enough that I really enjoyed reading it. As I said at the start, it does look really thick, but it's actually only about 330 pages. I think there must be really thick paper in here or something, because it was so quick to read. Like, I think I read it in 3 sittings. So I would recommend this. I think out of all of the Bluemoose books that I read, this is probably my second favourite, and it's one that I definitely intend to keep, and it will stick with me. And also, can we have a moment for this stunning cover, which is just really aesthetically pleasing? I don't know why, but it just satisfies me. So yes, there was that one. So as I say, that is all of the Bluemoose books that I've read. If you want to go back and look at the reviews for the other ones, I will link the playlist down below. Next time I do a paddling in independent publishers video, it's going to be the final wrap up of all the Bluemoose books together. Then I'm going to be hopefully moving on to the last publisher in the series, and then there will be no more paddling in independent publishers, because I've kind of had enough of sort of having a pile of books on the side. I will see you next time. Bye.